Hey, how's it going, guys? Political Spatula here, giving you the news no matter how bad it hurts. So, I've noticed a trend most recently in the media with them absolutely glazing the DSA, which is the Democratic Socialist of America Party. And the media just loves the DSA, even though they've had way more shortcomings than Donald Trump and have actually done worse for Americans than Donald Trump has. But, the news has to have their ally somehow. They have to take power with a more radical party than the Democrats. So the media is going to start backing the DSA and wanting to push, apparently, from what I heard, AOC to be president, which is horrendous. The most prominent names in the DSA are Zora Mamdani, Andrea Ocasio-Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, and Bernie Sanders. And Ilhan Omar isn't a member of the DSA, but she strongly aligned herself with the DSA. And that's already a horrible group of people that don't actually know what they're doing in politics. So Zoran Mamdani is anti-Jewish and pro-Palestine, hates Jews and loves terrorists, and he has made this incredibly clear throughout his statements while being mayor. I can't believe this guy was able to become mayor.
You're running for mayor of New York and not prime minister of Israel, but you've made inflammatory statements like calling Israel an apartheid state and questioning its right to exist as a Jewish state. Just this week, you were evasive with a reporter about condemning Hamas. Given New York has the largest Jewish population outside of Israel, why should voters who see this as a moral red line trust your clarity and judgment?
He appointed C. Weaver, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that name, even after she criticized people owning homes and being middle class. Like, seriously, how can you criticize people from owning a home? Like, could you make yourself look more like a dictator? And this is what the media isn't telling you. They're not telling you that New York wants to take people's houses away from them and resell them. Imagine if Donald Trump did what they're doing as well. Imagine if Donald Trump criticized people for owning homes and being middle class, they would call him a fascist. But it doesn't work the other way around. The news doesn't call the communists. It seems like they hate the American dream and they don't want people to rise through the ranks of society, just like in the Soviet Union. And of course, his wife also has to be a terrorist supporter, and she's been getting in a lot of trouble recently for that as well. And his plan is to make New York the poorest state by chasing away all the millionaires that have their factories and companies in New York, and they're just going to go to Wall Street South, also known as Texas. And they just do not care about that. Like, New York is going to rapidly decline and become Detroit at this rate under Mamdani. And the media also loves Mamdani, but they hate to talk about the fact that 99% of his campaign promises were thrown out the window the second he got elected, and he gave a big old speech about how he can't actually do any of those things he promised the American people. Like, imagine if Donald Trump did that. Imagine if Donald Trump didn't actually do what people were electing him for. He's actually slowly ruining New York because he's not slowing down how much he's spending. He's just kicking out all the rich people and ramping up how much money they're blowing through. Then we'll move on. Of course, one of the other members is AOC, and she wore a tax the rich gown to the Met Gala in a gown that she couldn't have paid for, so she gave the people gifts instead, which is something corrupt rich people do. It's called buy, borrow, die. It's something rich people do so they can hide their wealth so they don't actually seem as rich as they are, so they don't get taxed as much, so they pay people in gifts. And that's exactly what she got caught doing. She also got caught accepting thousands of dollars of gifts for her spouse. She's corrupt. She's already abusing her power like a socialist would. She doesn't understand the concept of illegal immigration. Probably because most of her voters are illegal immigrants, and Mom Donnie's voters are also mostly illegal immigrants, so they know they need that steady influx of voters. And don't forget, AOC spent $50,000 of her campaign money in Puerto Rico partying and dancing at a concert. Like, she is the corrupt politician she claims Donald Trump is. and she wears it openly. The news just doesn't discuss it well enough. And I actually have enough pages on AOC to make an entire video about her alone because she has a very long track record. And a lot of these things don't really have a place in the video because they're more critiques of her and her individual policies, which, I mean, go figure, all communists want to take your guns away so they can suppress you. That's the first thing all dictators do is take your guns away. And that is the first thing the Democrats want to do is take your guns away like the dictators they are inside. And Bernie Sanders is such an idiot.
Joe Rogan used to love Bernie, used to back him. But now I think he's seeing him clearly for the leftist clown that he is. And Joe Rogan also schooled Bernie, the socialist with 3 houses, the climate change warrior who takes private jets around the country. Joe schooled him on global warming.
Bernie Sanders, the guy that criticized millionaires, then himself was a millionaire, so he had to start criticizing billionaires. He said millionaires shouldn't own multiple homes, and he himself has 3 homes. He dropped out of the presidential election because he didn't want to display his financial records. Like, these are corrupt individuals. They don't even try to hide it. It's right there in the open for any old Joe to go see. Why you'd trust these people's beyond me. They're textbook politicians that are lying to get in office, and there are so many fat bodies on the internet that don't understand that and just vote for them because they don't think they'll need to get a job if they get a socialist in power that will give them everything they want, which just isn't how socialism works either. Of course, then you have Ilhan Omar, the center of the scandal. And by the way, don't forget, Ilhan Omar is also the woman that went from like $30 million to like 51,000, all because of a simple accounting error. That's not what happened. The news isn't picking up on this stuff for a reason. The Somalian woman at the center of the fucking Somalian scandal where they stole money from American children. And that's what effectively it comes down to. These people stole money from children, homeless people, people that are in need, and you're still going to vote for them? Like, come on. Let's get the truth straight here. If you're going to vote for a Democrat because you're a Democrat, find a new Democrat to vote for. Vote for someone that isn't in politics at all right now because all the Democrats that are in politics just so happen to be extremely corrupt. And Rashida Tlaib, born to Palestinian immigrants, and now calls for the death of Jews and claims Israel blew up hospitals that it didn't, and Hamas was actually responsible for. Hamas has a track record of blowing up their own hospitals and blaming Israel, and of course, she also blames Israel. I think she is a Palestinian plant within the United States government. I think her parents raised her up to get into politics, just like Ilhan Omar, so they can actually run our country for their country. They're in a party that has a habit of doing incredibly bad things. Like, we can't forget they take people's guns away so they can't have uprisings. Here's the socialist countries: China, Cuba, Vietnam, Laos, and North Korea. They sound like such pleasant places that have absolutely no human rights violations. I'm glad these individuals tied themselves to a party with such a horrible track record across the world. Like, we can't trust these people in our country, and the news doesn't want to talk about the history of socialism. Nobody on YouTube has been. They only want to talk about the good big wins for the DSA. Like, are you kidding me? Are we going to forget the fact that socialism right now is responsible for some of the biggest human rights violations in the world? I hope nothing else bad happens to this country before we can vote these communists out of power. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys. I hope you guys have a good one. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment down below.